Hello, I'm Dickens from interest.co.nz and welcome to a special report on housing, and in particular, coastal property. We all remember back to the golden days of 2002, 3, 4 and 5, when there was massive speculative activity on the coastal property strip, particularly around Auckland and on the east coast, where the waves and the wind aren't quite so bad. This actually was underpinned by some fundamentals at the time. There were a lot of expats returning to New Zealand after 9/11, from London, from New York, from Sydney, and they came back with lots of cash. They were also buying New Zealand dollars back when the currency was 45 cents or so. It looked fantastic. It was summer, it was warm, the sea was fantastic, the houses were cheap, the currency was good. So of course they bought coastal property, particularly sea-facing property and some coastal sections as well. There were also a lot of Asian migrants coming into New Zealand at the time. They had plenty of cash and were looking for bolt holes and cheap assets to invest in, and so they invested in New Zealand property, sometimes on the coast, sometimes not. The overall effect of this was a property boom in the cities, which meant that many New Zealanders were also seeing big increases in their home equity, some of which was used to invest in speculative coastal property or to invest in second homes at the beach with some debt. So we saw a lot of McMansions built on those coastal strips within the 2-hour radius, 2 hours driving radius from Auckland. So what are we seeing now? Well, a speculative bubble is well and truly bursting. Property developers who have been stretched by our own local credit crunch, that is the failure of the finance companies, are having to sell up or stop new developments. The really ones struggling are doing mortgagee sales. So the likes of Matarangi, Orewa, Whangaparoa, Pawanui, Mangawhai, Papamoa, it really is a bloodbath there on the east coast. Those developers are not able to sell their properties. The ones who are in too much debt are having to go into mortgagee sales or just not developing that land. Now, Rodney Dickens from Strategic Risk Analysis has done a full-on analysis of some of these coastal areas and what's happening with prices and listings. And he's finding that there was a huge speculative bubble which is now bursting. The problem we're seeing now is that some of those people coming home after the credit crunches killed jobs off in London and New York are not so cashed up as they were the first time around, mainly because they haven't been able to sell their houses and bring back the cash from that. Also, the currency is a bit stronger than it was then, or it certainly has been for the last year or so. It's only now started to hit that 55 cent level or so. Also, the big problem on the coastal areas, unlike in the cities, is that when your coastal property is empty, or if you've got a section with nothing on it, you've got no income to pay that debt as it comes due or as the interest has to be paid. And that's putting a lot of speculators under pressure. Pressure that will eventually tell in the form of mortgagee sales and various stressed sales. So prices are falling fast. And apart from that, we're in this phony war at the moment where there is an illiquid market. Prices just aren't going through, mainly because those sellers don't feel stressed enough. That will come and prices will fall. In the meanwhile, in your summer holiday this year, look for lots of listings in those real estate office windows, but not many sales. I'm Dickens. That was a special report on property, brought to you in association with ASB.